Hi, everybody. Todd and Doug, if you wouldn't mind changing your names on Zoom so I can see who you are, just so for the purpose of the minutes, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Oh,
Yes, hi, Michael. You able to hear me?
yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah, this is Doug Searle here. Sorry, I've got a bit of a Luddite connection here. I was just trying to sign in with a different laptop so that I could be like same video and audio feed, and I was having issues getting onto the website. Then it was a work computer, and I called a relevant person and they were at home and they tried signing in and they were having issues with the website through various browsers. And so I don't know if other people are running into that as well.
I did
I don't
notice
know.
that too.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if that affects the ability to have public hearing or not.
Well, we don't have we have a public meeting tonight. There's no hearing. I'm not sure the URL hasn't changed. But let me check in the Zoom website to see if something has been altered.
It was like trying to get into the Shutesbury, just the town website to get to the calendar, to get to the link, etc.
Yeah, the
Um,
website is extremely slow right now. There is an issue with the website.
okay.
Yeah, you go to the web page and I couldn't connect into the web page. Um, but it looks like a lot of other people have been able to figure it out. So good.
Yeah, yeah. For whatever reason, one work computer that I typically use, maybe it had the browser history and memory or some link or something, so it worked. But uh, I know, and okay, no, another person, yeah, Garrison is joining me as well. So this is, um, yeah,
Yeah.
looks like he's on
I'm
here,
here.
so that is good.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Garrison, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Um, if people are asking, one way to do it is get rid of the www in uh, the location, the address
Okay,
that you can get in then. Let's see. So maybe that's what's happening with Bob.
Yeah, I'm in.
Now we just wait for Mayor. Hopefully Mayor can get in.
Yeah,
Scott?
it's weird. I tried to get in. It said site not recognized, can't provide secure connection. So then I tried all three different browsers, my wife's computer, and if and then it wouldn't come through on my phone either. But Mateo sent me a link, and I could get in directly that way. Weird.
Yeah, I my husband said get rid of the www and it worked. He's
Oh,
on
okay.
he's on the web committee. He said they've been having problems all day with the web page. Something's wrong.
Okay. So Shitesbury.org would get me in.
No, that's what I had trouble just even getting to the town web page. It said the same thing you said. I couldn't get to the calendar or anything.
Yeah.
Just in the normal way, I couldn't get into the things.
You know, so I just now did enter in shootsbury.org without the www, which I had put in before, and it is taking me to the page.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
what
pretty
I
cool there. Oh, and then it says can't provide a secure connection. Let me try it.
Excuse me.
Clear that off.
there's Mayor. Yay. Tom, Tom, you have your hand up?
I was just going to recommend going to Mindtown Government instead of shootsbury.org,
Oh, well, that would have been good too.
but it might be moved now. Okay.
A few different ways to sneak around whatever's going on.
What's going on?
Something strange with the town webpage.
Oh, okay.
We're all having a little trouble getting in. But everybody's here now. Scott can't make it tonight. He's on grandkid babysitting duty. So it's the four of us and
Okay.
Michael's first meeting.
Welcome,
Yay.
Michael.
Hello, thanks for having me.
All right, let's get going. It's 7:08. I'm calling this meeting of the Shutesbury Conservation Commission to order. It's April 7th, 2026. This meeting is being recorded. All right, first on our agenda is comments from the chair. All I have is that on April 14th, which is next Tuesday, there's going to be a meeting about the Eversource power line project, the big Eversource power line project that's being proposed. I think we've talked a little bit about it before. It's a line that comes through Shutesbury, and on their entire line going through lots of other towns, they're proposing to do some significant tree cutting to widen the right of ways, how open the right of way is. So this is different again from the National Grid project that's more about doing tower maintenance and access roads. And this is strictly tree clearing. Anyway, there's a community meeting the 14th in Amherst at the town hall, second floor. I didn't write down the time of that meeting. Wait, let me see. It's right on my phone. Yeah, 7 p.m. in the town hall, Amherst. I think I sent you guys the info too. I think I forwarded it to you via email. The other thing is that there's another one of our hikes this weekend. It's at Southbrook Conservation Area. It's on Sunday, 11 a.m., meeting in the parking lot by the boat launch. I know Mayor's going to go. But anybody else would be great. I can't make it this weekend for this hike, but the rec committee will be there, and I hope we get a good turnout, and the weather is great. I know nothing about what the weather is supposed to be, so that's all I had. Moving on, item number 2 is to vote on our minutes from March 12th. Does anybody have any changes or comments for those minutes? Nope, I can't see Bob anymore. Where did he go? Oh, there he is. I think you're muted, Bob.
I'm here. I switched from my phone to my computer, so I've got all of you in bigger faces. Much better.
Excellent. do you have any comments or changes on the meetings, on the minutes?
I don't have any changes or comments.
Okay, great. So I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of March 12th.
I will so move.
Oh, second.
Okay, great. All right, roll call. Michael, you were there. But you weren't an actual member, so I don't think you can vote on those. You weren't signed, you didn't have your oath and all that yet.
Right.
All right, so roll call, Fox,
Aye.
Douglas,
Hi.
and Wilson. Aye. Great. All right, next we have site visits. I'll just mention one, and then Mayor, if you have anything. There's one coming up. You guys remember the farm on Baker Road and Pelham Hill Road? So the address is 7 Baker Road. On the 15th, so that's next Wednesday. There's going to be a site visit there. They got in touch with Kestrel. Kestrel got in touch with me. She's concerned again about the drainage and about sinkholes, which are dangerous for her livestock, but also she's just, I think because it's spring and I'm sure, getting a lot of water coming through there. She's concerned about it again. So she wants to meet with us. So if anybody can make that, let me see, what time did I set that one up? So that's 3:30 on the 15th, which is a Wednesday, if anybody can make it.
I can probably make it. I might be a few minutes late. I have a meeting at 3, but it's by Zoom.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll be there for a while. It's a lot to look at, and so yeah, just come whenever you can. That would be great.
And you said 3.
3:30.
3:30. Okay. Okay.
That's on the 15th?
Yep.
Okay.
And I mean, if other people can't do it, but could do it later in the afternoon, I could change it. I can't remember if Kestrel has sort of a time limit, but I can try to make it at like 5 or 5:30 if that would work better for people.
I mean, 4 works for me, but if other people are able to attend at 3:30, then,
Michael, what's your schedule for being able to do site visits?
Wednesdays, I'm usually in Boston, so I can't, but most other days I could probably make time.
Oh, okay, good to know. And most other days, anytime? Like, is there a certain, like, I'm usually available 3:30 or later during the week, during the work week.
Yeah, it depends. Mostly just around kid stuff. So, yeah, usually later in the day is fine.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll check back on that. I'll check back with Kestrel and see if they can do maybe 4, and also see if they can do a different day if that works better for people. Bob, are you around at all that week?
Yeah, I will try and make that. And 3:30 or 4 would be equally good for me. So
Okay, you can make it then. All right. Well, then maybe we'll leave it that day and I'll see if I can change it to 4,
Okay.
and I'll let you guys know. That sounds good. Mayor, are there any other site visits that we've done or?
We did the one on Lake Drive. The order of conditions.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one. So that's on the agenda.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Okay. Do we have any set up for the library? I feel like we should maybe go back and check out.
Yeah. I probably should reach out to Marianne and just ask her where it stands in terms of that pond or that retention basin that's closest to the road that was supposed to be redone, that wasn't. And then the other part would be looking at the vegetation, which, so maybe in another couple weeks,
Yeah, I'd be happy if you talk to her to set up any time to go because the snow's all melted, so it'd be a good time to just check the
Okay.
matting that they put out there and
Yeah.
to see if there's any, because it's been raining quite a bit, to see if there's any erosion going on.
Yeah. Okay.
That'd be great. All right. Scott's not here for land management. All I know is that he and Mateo that we've been working on getting the contract for the for Southbrook, figuring that out, and it's not quite settled yet, but
Is it going to the company that it was awarded to, or that one that we saw that sending emails?
it's still a little up in the air because
Okay.
there's been some strange stuff, so
Okay.
nothing finalized yet. But
Mhm.
soon,
Okay.
I think this week it'll
Sure.
get
Okay.
determined, which is good because kind of need to get out there and start the project.
Mhm.
All right. Next on our agenda, we've got 2 certificates of compliance for 84 Lake Drive. And I think both Mayor and Scott were on that site visit.
Mhm.
I don't think Bob and Michael weren't there for that, but both of them they're very old. Orders of conditions that the property is being sold. So that often what happens when property is being sold, it can't be, the lawyers look into it and find out that there's an order of conditions outstanding and the property can't be sold until that gets resolved. So,
Mhm.
I'm going to share the 2 orders of conditions. We'll just take a look, I think, quickly at both of them, and then we can vote on each of them. Oh, hey, Mateo, can you make it so I can share my screen?
Yes, I will do that. Hang on a second. Zoom has changed where that is located.
Oh, helpful. Awesome.
Amazing.
It made it harder to figure out, huh?
They did. Okay, I just made you co-host, so you should be able to share using that.
Yep, it worked. Oops, that's Can you see my screen?
You can see your email folder.
Can you see the certificate of compliance?
Just your
Nope.
email.
Just the email folder.
How's that?
Good.
Okay. Okay, so this is the older of the 2 orders of conditions. Goes back to 1991. And all I really wanted to show you was what it was really for. Oh wait, that's the certificate of compliance. All right, so the only thing in this one that says anything about what the work was is this 4A, which says the work is a maintenance dredging project as provided for in the act. Maintenance dredging project. And let's see, it's actually prior to 1991. This one is from, oh, 1993.
Yeah, it's the old school form for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all we know. He said it was for maintenance dredging. During our site visit, we did go down to the area where the retaining wall is and where this dredging would have been, and saw no negative impacts to the area currently. So that's that one, and then the other one, a little newer. This one, yeah. It's from 2008, I think. And it's for, yeah, 2008. One thing they're saying it needed to be done during the drawdown.
Hmm.
And where I saw in here. Wow. So it's retaining wall repair or replacement. Done during the drawdown in 2008. And then the only, there's some conditions here. The retaining wall should be no longer than the pre-existing wall. When we were at the site, the wall seemed fine. It was definitely intact. Erosion and sedimentation controls needed to be used. And then there's a lot about like the debris being removed. And when we were there again, we saw no piles of decaying plant material nearby or anything, or even just muck. So, do you agree, Mayor, that it seems like they met these conditions?
Yes.
Yeah. Back in 2008, removal of vegetation, muck, or accumulated sediment. Yeah. All right. I think so. Those are the two orders of conditions. And then, so I wrote up the certificates of compliance. They both look very similar. We do have to do two. They're to the same person. And I'm checking off complete certification for both of them.
Okay.
Because it seems like, all conditions were met.
Mhm.
All right. Stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions on those before we take a vote?
No.
All right. So why don't we vote first on the older one, which is, so I'll take a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for order of condition 286-42, which is from 1993, which was for just doing maintenance dredging at 84 Lake Drive.
So moved.
I will second.
Okay. All right. Roll call. Duffy?
Aye.
McDuffie, sorry.
That works too.
McDuffie. Douglas?
Aye.
Fox?
Aye.
And Wilson, aye. All right, now take a similar motion to issue a certificate of compliance for order of conditions 286-218, which was for fixing a retaining wall and also looked like doing some dredging at 84 Lake Drive in 2008.
So moved.
I will second.
All right, great. Roll call. McDuffie?
Aye.
Douglas?
Aye.
Fox?
Aye.
And Wilson, aye. Great. We have a lot of these tonight. We have certificates of compliance and emergency certifications. All right, so moving on to 59 Shore Drive, which is also a request for a certificate of compliance. So who was at that site visit? I think that was just Scott and I. It was the same day.
I was late. I was late for that one. I showed up after you guys were there. So
Yeah. So that one, wish I had some pictures. I have the certificate of compliance filled out, which we can look at in a second.
I'm here for that, Beth. Doug Searle here, Berkshire Design Group. On behalf of Gary West, and I'm also accompanied with Garrison Gamble, who is with Hugh Riddle, who was Gary's architect for the house. So we can talk about it whenever
That'd
you
be
like.
great. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, Mateo, can you let Doug share?
You should be able to do it now.
Okay, great. Let's see this. Should is everybody able to see this
Yes.
screen? Okay,
Could you
great.
enlarge it, please?
Sure. Is that a little bit better?
A little better.
So this is a site plan of the record plant, current conditions that we've included with the certificate of compliance. This is the two-story house that Gary had built. This property was originally 57 and 59 Shore Drive. The two parcels were combined together. And kind of the big move was to combine the two parcels together and remove previous structures. One was removed prior to the original order of conditions, then on 57 and then on 59 Shore Drive, the second house was removed. The other big move was that if you can see my mouse, it's kind of on the center to right of the screen, that this culvert that went underneath Shore Drive was replaced by the owner, which was taking water that comes down from the hill well outside of his parcel. And previously it had cut through, it had gone into an open hole, and then pipe went straight across and exited right at the edge of the bank into the tributary there of the lake. And so it was improved by replacing that 12-inch culvert along the road and then connecting that into a closed catch basin, and which then sent around with a 12-inch enclosed pipe and then daylighted a fair distance, roughly 60 feet from the edge of the water, to allow the water to daylight and then kind of slowly trickle through a dry stone-laid swale with vegetation, of which is getting established, and then planting a conservation seedling mix on the lakeside of the house for part of the lawn towards the waterfront, and to improve that, and then putting in a gravel driveway, so the driveway is in, the house is in. There were a few minor modifications to the plan that was approved in the amended order of conditions approximately 2 years ago. And I wanted to briefly run through those. We talked about those at the site visit. We had a site visit last November that Beth had attended. And then we had a site visit again with Beth and Scott several weeks ago at this point. And just walking through these sites. So the vegetation is was installed. There's a few more plants that are slated to be installed, which is highlighted here, kind of in the bold ink rather than faded colors. So, and also there's a chart on this page as part of the submission to kind of highlight what was installed and remaining plantings. And so just as a a full disclosure of all this is the plans were in here, and then when the landscaper went to install plants, they chose what was available, and planted a number of things, and there were still some things that were remaining, which is outlined here in this remaining column. So there's roughly 49 plants that they're slated to install within the coming weeks this spring. And then this seed mix was seeded last fall, and they're taking care to see that this germinates and gets established. One of the things that was not included in the original amended order of conditions plan was a Goshen stone walkway to connect the back of the house to the existing dock. And so that was something that was requested by the owner and was installed. And it's a very nice feature that, just to allocate space for foot traffic through the, lawn and the conservation mix plantings. The other piece was that there was an area that they wanted raised beds earlier in previous iterations. The first plan that was part of the order of conditions, there were a series of raised beds that were shown on the south side of the house. And then in the amended order of conditions, those raised beds were removed. And then they came back as a piece of interest, and the owner wanted to kind of have a greatly reduced area for them. The previous iteration, they were kind of a larger rectangle on this side of the house. And so there was a smaller area. This is 12 by 16, and it's a gravel bed. The gravel's several inches deep, and it's like 3/4 inch stone. And it has a weed barrier liner underneath it. And the goal is to put wooden raised planters for, annual flowers or garden vegetables to grow into it. And then it will be surrounded by, by this kind of conservation plantings native mix. Then there were some slight movements around to change the location of some of those plants. The previous plantings, nothing was in front of the house, kind of foundation plantings, or in the back. So a few of the previous plants were kind of shifted around in these other locations, but it's still the same. What we had previously suggested was putting in 75 total plantings, perennials, shrubs, and trees, and we're still at 75 plants of shrubs, trees, and perennials to kind of keep that the same total that was originally agreed upon and proposed. But just to highlight that there were a few things that were moved around, and so that is basically the gist of it. I also have a few photos. This was also included in the certificate of compliance that was submitted. So this is a view from Shore Drive, looking at the front of the house, and then over towards the garage and the new driveway that's looking south across the front of the house. The new swale that exists is off this southern side of the house, and just behind this evergreen tree up by the road is where that new catch basin is located, and then directing water to around the side of the house. This slower, just kind of skipping ahead, the slower photo here is showing that dry laid swale. Kind of zoom into it. When we were there just a few weeks ago, you could see water that was coming down from the hillside through the series of culverts, and then was trickling down the stream. So it was definitely working as designed, which is great. This is an opposite view of that same dry laid swale, and where the culvert is now daylighting to give the water an opportunity to reduce sediment, reduce flow, and infiltrate before going into the lake.
Mhm.
And so then these are other views of just the back of the house, where the conservation seed mix is underway, getting established. So that's what I wanted to go over, and then I wanted to see if anybody had any questions.
Bob?
Hi, Doug. Could you put the overhead drawing up? And can you talk I'm interested because I'm on the sedimentation group on how that catch basin functions in the front. Can you just give us a
Sure.
1 or 2 minutes on that?
Yeah, of course. And so there's a trench, just a ditch along the side of the road, where it's showing this far right side of this culvert is this is, it's kind of roughly here, following this sort of rough dashed line here is the side of the road. There's a culvert underneath this driveway across the street. So this swale's collecting a much larger area than the size of this property on the map. Water's flowing kind of down the page, would be in the direction headed south, down slope of the street. When it crosses into this culvert, what was there before was just like an open hole. And so water now enters into a closed catch basin that has a sump pump to it. And then where this pipe daylights, there's a sump well below that. So it's, when needed, it's possible to vacuum out that any sediment that would build up in there. But that is essentially designed to be able to capture, let sediment drop out of that water. And then it flows down the next 12-inch pipe through the property. There's a yard drain that is capturing anything from just the surface area of the yard. Then that is heading down another 12-inch HDPE pipe, and then it is daylighting. So all of this is this last pipe is done at a low sloping angle to slow the flow of the water down. This as well. So both these pipes are, I think, roughly at a 2% or less grade. So the water is moving at a slow rate within the pipes, and then there's a kind of flared end for it to release, and then it's landing into a large cobblestone so that the stone wouldn't move, but it would, collect, let sediment drop out and just kind of allow the water to flow real slowly, like through this swale. And then by the time it's exiting, it's a very slow trickle, and it's just kind of flowing down the bank. And then into the right now, obviously the lake is low, but there is water coming through here, but it's quite a slow trickle, which was the design. So that's working well. Prior to the pipe was coming out just past the big fat dash line is showing existing erosion control that is currently in place still while this is getting established, and then that would be removed once it's established. But the previous pipe was exiting just right from the bank right into the lake, so there wasn't a chance for any sediment to be removed from it. So this was the pretty big improvement.
Great, thank you, Doug.
Sure, of course.
That's interesting, and I'm sure it's going to be talked about. Quick question for you: the water that you saw trickling through the boulders, was it clean or was it sediment laden? What color was it?
No, it was quite clear. Yeah.
Oh, good, great.
That section, about, I'm trying to remember how many years ago at this point, maybe 5 or 7 years ago, that section, and then heading north on that road to the property that's looking out from the front door of the house to the left. That whole section is where they dumped truckloads of mixed rock, because that section got the neighbors couldn't get out because in mud season. So and that's all. It took a while for it to get compacted, but so I'm hoping that what you've put in is going to add to the system, and it seems like it is. I mean, I did take a ride past there, but it I'm hoping that it does add to it, because that I don't think that what was on the other side of the road was working in terms of the other side. I don't think that was working in terms of what was coming off of the the hillside there.
Sure. Okay.
So I'm hoping that this all works a lot better, because that was a lot of truckloads of rock that was dropped off there, and then in order for people to get access to and from their
Yeah, I appreciate learning that. I came on board after that had occurred, so yeah, that's interesting. There is a large kind of drainage watershed up the slope, across the street, up the hill. There's quite a large area that is, where of any runoff for snow melt that's coming down the hill, and north up Shore Drive, it's splitting, and then the portion that's coming this way is not insignificant. So yeah, I think this is a big improvement for being able to capture and help to slow that flow and let it try to remove sediment as best as possible. So so far, it appears to be working just fine. So
That's good.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Is there an O&M plan for that deep sump catch basin?
There is, yeah, it was included in the original, either the original or the amended order of conditions, but it's essentially to monitor it seasonally, and the typical maintenance plans are to vacuum them out. It may not need to happen every year. There may not be a bunch of sediment building up into it, but the idea is monitor it twice a year, and then take a look, and if it needs the sediment to be removed, then you can hire a vacuum truck to come in and remove that. If that's not something that the town has, some towns have them, some towns don't have them. But yeah, they're often not. Some places that have just a lot of sediment moving through an area or a lot of erosion, they may need to be vacuumed out on an annual basis, and some are far less than that.
Is it the homeowner's responsibility under the O&M plan, or you just mentioned the town?
Oh, yeah, and it could be. I mean, this is collecting water that's coming from, essentially, runoff that's headed down the street, and then going, across from, and then into the property. So it's not just water that's collecting. Right now, it would be the homeowner's responsibility, definitely. But I didn't know if that was something that the homeowners association or anything was coordinating. I certainly haven't had those conversations, but the homeowner's prepared to conduct the necessary maintenance as needed for this.
Okay, that's good to know, because yeah, that road is maintained and everything by the Lake Wyola Association.
Yep.
And I think us in issuing like the certificate of compliance, we need to know who's on the hook, for maintaining that. That should definitely be defined somewhere. It sounds like it is the homeowner, but then eventually if the homeowner would like to reach out to the Lake Wyola Association for some kind of assistance at some point, that's up
Sure.
to them. But as long as sort of legally it's written that it's really the homeowner.
That's correct. Yeah, legally it is. I do believe it would be Gary's responsibility. So that, yeah, he's prepared to do that.
Great. That's good. Yeah, I don't think I really had any other questions. It does look like the swale is working really well. When we did our site visit, there was quite a bit of water coming through there, and it doesn't look like even during the spring storms you had any breakthrough with any of the rocks or anything.
It doesn't appear that way, so that's good.
Yeah, that's great. Are they sort of like, did you really build up almost like a flood? Like, how deep down did you dig? Did you build a few layers of gravel, or is it really just what's on the surface?
Yeah, I think it's mostly what is on the surface. It goes down roughly 6 inches to a foot deep, but it's large. It's large cobble, that builds this up. So this is like 6-inch to 8-inch or larger cobble. This stone. Some of these are larger than a foot. And so like this large one where the mouse is here, and then some of the smaller ones, and then there's a smaller gravel stone that's following the trench in the middle to fill in the gaps in between, so that to kind of have boulders and stones of different size to help slow the flow.
Yeah, and I think it's good that there's the deep sump catch basin too. That will slow the flow too,
Yes, agreed.
so you don't get a big washout from any big storms. It gets slowed. So good. Bob, you have a question?
Yeah, so I guess I had two questions. The I know that some commissions don't issue certificates of compliance until an area has regrown, the actual grass, you've got 75% coverage.
Yeah,
And
no, we're not. I've got it written up, and I talked with Doug. We're doing a partial
okay,
tonight.
all right.
I mean, if everybody's on board for doing that, it would be written up as a partial for the work that's been accomplished so far, which is almost, it's like almost everything except all of the vegetation is not finalized.
Okay. And I'm curious about the walkway and the raised bed next to the lake. Those were not part of the original application?
That is correct. They were not.
Was there an amendment for them?
There was not an amendment for them.
So, Madam Chair, what are your thoughts on that activity within the aura?
Um, yeah, I mean, the work is done sort of, I guess you can look at what is the impact um to it, and I wouldn't say either one of them would be considered impervious. Um,
There's a picture of
so
the walkway that's installed. Uh, to just give you an example of that, so it didn't raise the grades at all. It's basically just a sand base below these large stones. So these large, flat, 3-inch thick stones of Goshen, they're certainly not going anywhere, but it offers a nice cover. And if the lawn or the other vegetation, if it was really wet, walking down to the dock, this would have a less of an impact on compacting the soils in this area for kind of the primary foot traffic to get out to the dock. And then this gravel bed is again, it's quite pervious to go through the stone. Obviously, this was not included in the original plans, as you have noted, but other vegetation there would be boxes that the owner is intending to construct here to put vegetation in, so there would be vegetation in this area. So and then it would be maintained so that it's not getting weedy or anything like that. And so it would add more vegetated cover and allow for infiltration to occur in the area, which would also happen with the native plant buffer. So I guess that would be my statement in defense of these two items for what that is worth.
yeah, during the site visit, we talked a little bit about some, additional plantings almost as mitigation for these areas that aren't going to be, especially that area with the gravel pad, not going to be completely vegetated like it was supposed to be with the grass mix. Did you guys think? I know you talked about the numbers of plantings basically equaling the original number, so that doesn't sound like much of an increase in any kind. I know we talked a little bit about maybe doing some shrubs right along the Lake Wyola side of the property, like kind of right along the shore there.
This is Garrison. If I've had direct conversations with Gary about this, and we discussed the opportunity to potentially plant along that kind of water's edge. The discussion we also had was that would offset what hasn't been planted, which are the trees and shrubs along the driveway, which Beth, we discussed on site about the wanting to kind of break down the barriers between the neighbor of not providing a kind of vegetated edge. After talking with Gary, and my general feeling and his general feeling was that going forward with the trees would be a better solution than low bushes that might impact the view from a vegetation cover, and also was open to it's not as dense as what was originally proposed, but more in keeping what was proposed in the original design. So feeling like the trees were a better offset than the blueberry bushes, which we discussed on site. So that's why that whole edge kind of came back into the forefront in both because I had gone through the committee's purview before, but also that thinking that at this scale, that it's more vegetated coverage for the property itself.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think, I mean, I don't know, Bob and Mayor Michael, what are your thoughts on sort of the change in cover due to the new walkway and the gravel pad, and I don't know, like I said, possibly asking for some additional plantings?
I think asking for additional plantings would probably be appropriate because this was 2 lots. and I don't know how long everybody's been on the commission, but this was 2 lots. They purchased the next door neighbor's lot, raised the, took the house down, but, and I can't remember whether this was done legally or illegally, but there were full-size trees taken down, and they were supposed to leave a stump, and none of that happened. They went all the way to the ground and took away what was previously rather large trees, kind of like further down on at the end of Shore Drive. And I remember at the time, because Donna was president of the LWA, and I remember at the time reaching out to Linda Avis Scott and saying what happened here, and she told me that, that she left me a voicemail message saying that these trees were taken down and that it was all legal. So, but they were full-size trees that were taken down right at the water's edge. So, I think that more vegetation should be put in. And I'm trying to remember how long ago that was, but it was a number of years ago at this point, when way before they even, because the lot sat vacant for a number of years before they even started the house. And I think Donna might have been gone by that point, but
to chime back in, we'd certainly be happy to talk with the owner about adding, some additional plantings, within this. If you were to approve a partial certificate of compliance for, the bulk of the work and the stormwater infrastructure, the driveway in the house, and then the remaining things are to install the plants. If you conditioned in adding, another, series of shrubs, we certainly could sort out what the species are that would, native species that'd be appropriate to the area, and also that would fit into the neighborhood aesthetic to kind of keep that, keep that aesthetic and, but we'd be happy to comply with that if needed.
And this is Garrison again. I was just curious, is the intent to essentially, even though it's not impervious surface totally with the raised bed and that walkway, it would be to provide almost a one-to-one coverage of that area in the new vegetation?
That would be wonderful.
No, I guess I'm asking for a clarification on because I think from the homeowner's perspective, the inclusion for the additional those other trees and in the kind of the edge to the neighbor was above and beyond what they had hoped to plant, and this was to, even though that now after going through the house project, and so I'm cautious about the extent, so I just want to kind of understand the parameters of which we're implementing that.
Well, so along that edge, as you had said before, there were trees and plants that were going to be there, and then you had taken them away, and now you put them back again. And you did already say that the numbers in terms of what's in the table is basically the same as what it had originally been for plants and shrubs. And yet there were supposed to be some shrubs where that gravel pad is, right along that corner there. There was some stuff that was supposed to originally be planted there, but that is not on this plan. So I'm assuming those got moved somewhere else. So I think what we'd be asking for would be sort of in addition to the original number of 75 or whatever it was, original plants. And if you do look at sort of the square footage of that gravel pad and the walkway, it's probably in the end not too many plants. And if they could go along the lakeshore, that'd be great. But also if they're planted anywhere within the aura, I think that would meet the requirements.
Okay, thank you. That sounds good.
Okay. Does that sound all right to the commission?
Yeah, I'd just like to state that for the record, we're being put in an awkward situation and that there's uh, work that would normally require a permit to put in the garden by the lake and the Goshen Stone Walkway that's been put in without consulting the commission. So I think we are in a tricky place, and I think that should be noted for the record.
And I fully appreciate that. And I think things got, when the landscaper was on it and with the owner, there was conversations that, desires that, given the sequencing of implementation, made sense to the owner and sense to the design team. But yes, the things happened without, proper protocol. So I apologize to put you guys in that position.
Thanks. All right, I have no more questions or comments. I did draft up the certificate of compliance that we can take a quick look at, and it's a partial. See what the commission thinks of that. Thanks for the presentation, Doug
Sure,
and
of course.
Garrison.
Of course. Here, I'll stop sharing. So, you
Yeah,
wanna
if you stop,
say
then
hi?
I can share, and we'll look at the certificate of compliance, but then we'll also talk a bit more with you guys about like next steps. Hmm. All right, this one. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So this is what I drafted. I mean, it's got, just the basic info. Address, when we did the site visit. And then, yeah, I checked off partial. All right, so this is the important part. Oh, it's so tiny. Let's see if we can make it bigger. Partial certification. And then it's saying the project areas or work subject to this partial certification that have been completed and are released from the order are, and I put house, garage, driveway, stone walkway, stream bed and outflow, and then the yard was graded. Plantings and seedings not released under this certificate of compliance. I don't know. Does that say enough of what we're doing?
So,
Okay, and then I'm all right with releasing those things that are basically completed, and those things were, they're done and they look like they were done. You say in accordance with the order conditions, except for the stone walkway, which was not in the amended order of conditions, but the house, the driveway, the garage were all built according to the original plan set. All right.
And sorry about the anticipation would be they would come in for we're issuing this partial. They would come in once the plantings are complete. Is that correct?
Yep, they basically have to go, you have to go through this whole process again to ask for a certificate of compliance, but a complete one. And that would have to wait until the grass is grown in and the plants have stabilized, so that, because we'd really be looking to make sure that there's no erosion anymore. So yeah, so they would come back at that point.
Okay.
And that's all, just signatures. I guess so. Before we vote, let's just sort of finalize what the plan is going ahead. So I think I think when you come back for the certificate of compliance, the complete certificate of compliance, which, may not be until the fall to, it really got to, vegetation's really got to take hold. At that point, we would want to see where the plantings are, or maybe you'd want to come back before that to confer with us as to where the sort of the mitigation plantings are happening, because you want to have them in
Well,
soon.
I guess I was gonna offer that we will do based on that. We'll do an area calc on those two areas. Propose a plan after we've had a chance to review with Gary, and then maybe submit as a addendum to this, and maybe get it on the next agenda so that we can get approval to, because we want to start planning those as soon as possible so they take. But we'd want your approval in location and quantity and species prior to that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty quick turnaround from our end. I don't know if there can be something interim, or if it would be the next month meeting.
Well, it's April, so we're starting to have meetings every 2 weeks now. So you can get on the agenda for our
Perfect.
April 23rd is our
Great.
next meeting.
Yeah, I think we could definitely put an updated plan together, maybe even before the end of the week, and have it submitted for the next agenda.
Great. Sounds good. Well, maybe we can hold off then on voting on the certificate of compliance. We can sort of see how this goes. The partial certificate of compliance. That makes more sense to me. We'll just bring it back in 2 weeks. Sound good?
It does to me.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for coming. And Mateo, you can get them on the agenda for the 23rd. That would be great.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Thank
All right.
you
Well,
all.
thanks for your time, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Of course.
Night. All right. Next we have forest cutting plan. I don't know, did you guys get a chance to look at that? I can bring that up too. Whoopsie. Hmm. I don't know, maybe I don't have it up. Let me see. Okay. Forest cutting plan for Sand Hill Road. It's goals. And it's a big one. Somewhere in here, I think it's 160 acres. It is got 4 stream crossings. Looks like they're going to use bridging, but there's no existing structures, so they're putting in some sort of like temporary bridging for those.
No, when you say bridging, do you mean like swap mats or?
That's what I would call, yeah, matting. Type of crossing, culvert, bridge, ford, another. Um, yeah, it must be matting. Oh yeah, because it says stabilization, it says corduroy. That's what CO is. So it is matting. Type of bottom stone. Stone. Let's look at the pictures. And they've got 50-foot filter strips. 235,000 board feet of white pine. This is the location. So here's West Pelham Road, Stonehill Road, Sand Hill Road. And it's all of this here. Pratt Corner Road over here. Access agreement with the town of Amherst. I think I might know about that. Stream crossings 1, 2, and 4 have been used in the past. Stream crossing number 3 will be used only if necessary. Let's look at the map again. Where are these? Stream crossing 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. Yeah, so they don't typically what I've seen, they don't, it's not like a real bridge, obviously. It's more they lay down stone, they lay down matting, and then they take it all up when they're done. Um, yep. Sorry, just looking.
Is this typical of how much information is provided in these plans about their operations?
Yeah. And Kohl's is actually pretty good about they're professionals. They hire the right people to do delineations. They fill out these forms as they're supposed to and submit them to DCR. Yeah, I guess you haven't seen these before. We have no jurisdiction over this kind of thing. We're included just in the review process. So we're mailed these from DCR, and we have 10 days, I think, actually, to respond with any comments that we have. But that's our only role. And then the local forester is the one who enforces this plan on the actual forestry company that comes out to do the work to make sure they abide by this plan. They're the ones that would do site visits and do any kind of enforcement if it's needed. So we just review it, and we really review it for wetland impacts, and that's why I was looking at. There are some other wetland areas. Uh, hmm. Yeah, they're not listing any actual wetland crossings, so they're not going up into those other areas, just crossing in those stream spots. And it's a little reassuring to know that they've been in this area before and they've already got these established crossings that they're going to use again. So I don't propose any comments. Does anybody else propose submitting any comments?
No.
Yeah, no comments from me.
Okay. Okay. Might as well vote on that. Take a motion to not issue any comments on the forest cutting plan from Coles for Sand Hill Road.
So moved.
I'll
Second. Okay. Roll call. McDuffie,
Aye.
Fox,
Aye.
Douglas,
Aye.
and Wilson. Aye. Yeah, I heard at work about they just asked us about the access agreement this past week. All right. Next we have discussion of the emergency cert for 74 Pratt Corner Road. I can bring that up too. All right, so this one, I think everybody was emailed what happened here. It was the the big windstorm that we had. Blew over a large beech tree, and this is Miriam DeFont's house. She used to be the chair of the Conservation Commission. And so it was a really large beech tree that fell down and fell, I think, definitely within the buffer zone to her little wetlands. She has a vernal pool wetland in front of her property, or even in actually into that wetland area. So she asked for an emergency cert. I went out and did the site visit. They'd already taken the tree down. The tree broke in half and was leaning, so she had to get the tree company out there pretty quickly. When I got out there, they'd already cut the tree down and were cutting it up. So, no, does anybody have any questions on that one? No, it's all done. It's all good.
Yep.
What we do is we ratify emergency certification. So because it's an emergency, I have the authority to just issue it and sign it when it happens, because often it has to happen the same day. And then at the next meeting, the commission ratifies the approval. So I'm looking for a motion to ratify the emergency certification for 74 Pratt Corner Road.
So moved.
Second.
Great. All right, roll call. McDuffie,
Aye.
Fox,
Aye.
Douglas,
Aye.
and Wilson. Aye. Great. Now we have a request for an emergency cert, which we just got a couple days ago. So instead of me issuing it, I thought we could bring it to the commission and see how people feel about it. And I see Mark Rivers is here. It's for doing some maintenance to the boat ramp, the part of the boat ramp that's like in the water off of Randall Road there. So, hi, Mark.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
All right, thanks for squeezing me in tonight's meeting. So I sent the commission some photographs of problems with the boat ramp. What's happened is over the past last year, we had a number of complaints about the trailers getting stuck and just problems with the boat ramp. So it's not really functioning that great. With the lake lowered now, but to 5 feet. And with the ice and snow gone, you can really see what's happening. There's a big, huge mound of gravel that's from the boats going in and out with prop wash. And then right in front of that, or on the shore side of that, is a big hole where the trailers are getting stuck are falling into. And it's just because it's the stuff that was there got blown up onto this big mound of gravel. And it's quite easy to see. And to me, it represents a public safety hazard for people going in and out of the lake, and for emergency management or emergency crews who are going onto the lake or getting off the lake because someone got hurt in the water. The ambulances go down to the boat ramp, and so boats have got to get over there to bring someone to the boat ramp to get into an ambulance. So with the big mound of gravel there, the channel, basically the waterway channel, is really kind of blocked off now. Yeah, it's not terribly bad when the lake is full, but if the lake is, but right now that if the lake goes down a foot, which happens in the summertime, then that gravel mound is like 2 feet underwater. It's not really enough to safely move boats in and out. And so my thoughts is that while the water's down and the cove is effectively empty, now except for the pool of water there, now is a great opportunity to fix it. And with minimal impact on the environment, just because it's virtually dry all around there right now. And so that's why I was asking for the emergency certification request, so we can get it within the next couple of weeks while before the Dale Lake comes back up to its normal level.
Mhm. Do you have like the funding and a contractor that would be able to do it right
Nope.
away?
Not yet. There was no point in going down that road if you guys aren't in favor of it. But we could certainly look for the funding, and possibly the highway department could do it themselves. They have a backhoe. It's really just scooping the gravel out and putting fresh gravel in, and probably bigger gravel so it doesn't blow away. It's not like it's not going to be like a normal boat ramp where you have concrete pads going into the water. It would be just basically just getting rid of the hump and putting down some gravel to make it a nice smooth transition into the water.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you guys issue a certification, it may not happen.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because emergency certs are only valid for 30 days. They have,
Right.
they have a limit to them. So sometimes it's, you want to be almost lined up to do it before you get the emergency cert. My other just one positive way of looking at it really is if doing it now would have such less of an impact on the lake itself than trying to do it when the water is even is higher than where it is now. Even if you did it during drawdown next year, the water would still be higher than it's pretty far. It's much further down, 5 feet, like you said right now. Which if you go in and do all that kind of work, it really does have less of an impact now to do it. I think I mentioned to you that to get it really officially called a threat to human health and safety, the Board of Health are the ones that need to call it that. So I did CC Kat on one of our emails, and she didn't respond, which was kind of strange because usually she responds right away. So I can check with her again on that. But what do other commissioners think?
I had a question, Mark, because it seems like it's forming its own little pond, so to speak, a little mini pond. The water that is in there, and then there's like an outer side that kind of goes east. Is that so? Are you taking that out, or are you just kind of asking to move it around so that it's not ponding in that specific area?
What we're asking for is to take out the gravel,
Right.
It's probably all mucky and stuff anyways, and then
Right.
put in fresh gravel so there won't be any ponding at that point.
Okay.
So
Okay.
basically a nice smooth transition to the water.
Okay.
Bob, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, it's a condition that I observe every time I go down there. Um, uh, is it an emergency? Um, uh, I would guess, um, one could make that supposition, being that it's important to get watercraft in and out of there. Um, uh, and quite correctly, this is a time that can be done on land, as opposed to actually working in the water, which would be what else is done. So uh, yeah, I would say it's not the perfect situation, but it's certainly a way we could take care of a problem.
Yeah, I think that's my big debate too, is, are we going through the right process to do it?
Mm.
There's an emergency cert has a reason, and it's obviously for emergencies, um, instead of going through a full application of some sort.
Just
But
do
then it
that.
comes down to, would we have time to do a full application before the lake starts? We go back to the higher levels of the lake.
Mhm.
Um, so that is really the question.
And certainly, gravel, as has been suggested, could be put in to smooth that area, and it has been done in the past, during time with water in place. Um, uh, Other boat ramps that are permitted in the Commonwealth are done with the notice of intents. Um, so I'm kind of torn on this one. Really, it's a project that needs an area that is has been a chronic problem, and probably always will be, just by the nature of the way stuff moves along slopes. Um, anyway, that's really all I've got to say on it.
Yeah, Mark, what are your thoughts on it being sort of an emergency? You came with us saying it was an emergency.
Yeah, part of the problem with the advantage of you could call it an emergency is that, and you guys are, well, first of all, you guys are the issuing authority, the Concom is, so I think you guys can issue that certification, not necessarily the Board of Health. But the big thing is it wasn't until the ice was gone and the snow was gone that you could actually see how bad things were. And so we have this window, which is, maybe no more than 4 weeks between while the dam is still down. I mean, the other option, I think, is, and maybe you know more about this than I do, is next fall or in 2 years, the dam is going to have some substantial work done to it. Right now, this is what they're doing to the dam right now is just a temporary patch. And there's a much more detailed phase 2 investigation of the dam that's going to have to come this fall, where they do core samples, and yet they're going to change. They have to change the spillway to make it big enough for all the anticipated rain in the future. And so I sensed, I don't know, my thinking is that there's going to be a significant drawdown again in 2 years or a year, depending upon the funding involved. And we're talking a lot of funding. So if you guys are uncomfortable with it anyway, we have time. I think we're going to have a much bigger drawdown in the future, like when they rebuilt the dam the first in 2008. And so, well, it's not ideal for this season. It's certainly an option, and to do it at that point in time. So it's just a matter of it seemed to me walking down there and said, this is really a nice time to do this. And have a minimal environmental impact, uh, and can be done in a day, kind of thing. So it's not like a big huge project.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I personally would prefer having it done under notice of intent. And as you're saying, it doesn't have to be a complicated project. So the notice of intent doesn't have to be too complicated. And you've done them before, Mark. You've done notices of intent.
I've done more than my share.
Mark told me he would never do another one.
Yeah, you know.
The only issue with the notice of intent is it takes several weeks, or to get because it's got to go to
Natural heritage.
DCR, and it's a couple month project, and and it can be costly. Just putting the ad in the newspaper was $600 last time I did it. And again, I'm fine with whatever approach you guys want to go with. I just wanted to get it out there and see what you thought.
Yeah, no, I absolutely see where you're coming from. That right now is just like a great time to do it. Um, After we talk about this, Haley has asked for another emergency cert to sort of, because they are only 30 days, to extend the time that the lake is going to be down 5 feet so they can finish the work that they already started on the dam. So it is still going to be down for a little bit longer. If you feel like you have time to put together a notice of intent.
I think I'll wait a couple of years on that one.
All right. I mean, I don't want to be the only one sort of making that decision, but does the rest of the commission feel?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that we're actually in a resource area. We'll actually be in the land underwater body. And we made everybody else tonight do filings because they were in the buffer zone. This is a much more sensitive area and is generally governed by the Wetlands Protection Act, our bylaw, et cetera. So um, I would be leaning for if there is an expanded time period, it sounds like that could be done. A permit could be filed.
All
right. Sorry, Mark. I guess
No,
that's your answer.
No, that's no problem at all. I'm fine with it. I just wanted to, I wanted you to know what was going on and weigh in here. That's all.
Yeah,
no, thank you.
I'd like to hear from Michael and Mara as well, if their thoughts on this.
I didn't know the time frame, so now that I know the time frame, because I've asked that question of Haley, that updated time frame as to when the work was going to be done on the dam, but I don't know. You guys are more this is your life's work, and I'm just the new commissioner. So, to me, if the work can be done under an emergency cert at this time, I would be in favor of that. But I understand where you guys are coming from with the NOI. I would just love to see a lot of this work done around the lake because there's just so much that this has revealed in terms of not just the boat launch, but all these other areas like in front of your property, Bob, and just what the boats have done, to the whole area. It's kind of sad, and so I would be actually in favor of an emergency cert, but I understand where you guys are coming from. So that's my thoughts.
I don't think I know enough about the process yet to say one way or the other if this sounds like an emergency cert, but I would be curious about how this was done initially. And it sounds like the work would be more or less in line with how that ramp was done initially, maybe larger gravel, I think you mentioned. But that would be my only thought on that, is that if that makes a difference, like if this was already analyzed for a previous project for its impact. If we know how that was done.
Yeah, I think it was done long ago. I think originally built long enough ago that none of us are too familiar with with that. But it's good to hear from both of you. Yeah, I guess I'm on board with Bob also that it's if we're requiring other applicants and
Mhm.
folks to do full notice of intent, it's hard to, and the emergency cert really has got a specific reason for it, and it really is supposed to be some kind of an emergency. Because it's really like you're being exempt from having to file for a permit kind of a thing. So,
Mhm.
all right. So we're gonna go with notice of intent. Sorry, Mark.
No problem. Don't feel sorry. No, I just letting people know what's going to happen.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys. Oh, another thing, unrelated to that, but you might want to get down there now that you can drive down there. There's a pretty good erosion problem from that little brook there. Now that the water's down, you can see it.
Mhm.
I took pictures of it and sent it off to Jen Wallace of the Stormwater Committee, who sent it off to the GZA people who are doing the H&H study. Because when we did their walk around, we weren't able to get down there because of the snow and stuff.
Mhm.
And so I took some pictures, and if you wanted to see, with some erosion that's almost identical to what Bob's house looks like,
Mhm.
it's ongoing down there too.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Take a look. And if you need, a little bit of assistance with the notice of intent, like I'm happy to help with it.
Okay.
I can't vote on something I help too much with, but if you have questions or if you need, I always feel like it's our role a little bit to help applicants through the process too. So,
And when we do, someone's going to be doing notice of intent for the drawdown of the dam when they go to repair it, when they do the dam repairs. And so there'll be there'll be some professional help at that point, I think, too, to fill out the notice of intent and get everything done right through town employees as opposed to volunteers.
yeah, good. That all sounds good. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys have a nice night.
Yeah, you
You
too.
too. Thank you,
I'm gonna
Bob.
sign off.
All right. I gotta run and get my plug to plug my computer in. It just told me the battery's about to die.
This is going to be the part of the video where somebody's like,
Are they all frozen?
is it frozen?
Okay, sorry. All right. All right, now we're talking about our enforcement at 87 Shore Drive. I see Bill Wells is here. That's great. Why don't I share? Listen, Bill, did you want to say anything about? No. Okay. I will share what I know. Okay, so I think everybody saw a lot of the pictures of what happened here. We got a report of some trees being taken down that we discovered, there was no permit to take the trees down. It was at 87 Shore Drive. And so I went out and checked it out and met with the Wells family. They own the property. I wish so. This doesn't have any pictures attached to it, does it? This was, yeah. I can dig up some pictures too, but let's just look at this first. This is what was given to the Wells when I met with them. So it's an enforcement order. It says cutting of 3 large trees within the buffer zone to the bank of Lake Wyola without a permit from the Conservation Commission. And we've got checked off the box for the activity has been conducted in an area subject to the act for the buffer zone without approval from the issuing authority. We have checked off the property owner, his agents, and others shall immediately cease and desist from whatever the activity that is occurring. That box is checked. And the property owner shall take the following action. And what I have is the property owner shall attend to this week's meeting, 7 p.m., which they are here. And that was all that enforcement order was about, was to get them to this meeting so that we could talk to them about what I feel if they had come to us for an actual request for determination, even because it was trees in the buffer zone, or notice of intent, however they had wanted to come to us, what would we have probably asked for, under our bylaw, we ask for replanting of trees that are taken down in the buffer zone. And there was 3 relatively large trees that were taken down. So I wanted to have that discussion with them tonight and see how you guys feel about that kind of thing. Let me see what pictures I have available to show you. Oh yeah, here we go.
Beth, before we get into the discussion part, this is the first time I've encountered something like this. What are the ramifications and what are remedies, or what happens? Is it
Well, the enforcement orders are, you saw what the form is, typically there's, you're checking off cease and desist because it's often something that's happening that was not permitted. And then really the commission can kind of come up with whatever they want to do. The enforcements go to the DEP. They see copies of everything. This is how in Amherst, at least, we typically would have done it, which is asking them, the first enforcement order is to come to a meeting. The second enforcement order would be on the same form, and it would be written up, and it would have any kinds of restoration, mitigation that the commission asks for. So, it all depends on what the actual action was that was done. And in this case, it was the 3 trees being taken down, which I think seeing it, you guys will have a better idea. So let me see if I can get these pictures. I found them.
And it seems like from the pictures that some of the trees might have been, diseased. Is that a mitigating factor, or is that not?
Here we go. It is in terms of, I think we should all think about sort of like what our regulations currently say. Like if they had come to us and said, we've got these 3 large trees. Yeah, I don't have a lot of good pictures, unfortunately. So I wanted to show you kind of where they were located. This is just some of the work when they were coming down. Let me see. I had some. Because if they had come to us, we would have determined those trees. Say they had come and an arborist had said those trees are dying and are going to fall. Then most likely we would have allowed them to take those trees down, but we also would have probably said we'd like 1-to-1 replacement somewhere on the property with a similar tree species or just a native tree species. That's what I think would have probably happened. So to me, in this case, this isn't a huge violation. I've seen much worse violations. That would be my suggestion, is that we ask them to to replant, similar to what our regulations would have asked for. And Bill is here, so we can talk to him about that. Just want to see if I can find any more pictures to show. Anybody else has any other pictures? I took some other pictures. Anyway, they were pretty close to the bank. They were just on the outskirts of a little sitting area that they have down by the shore. So I would say they were within 15 feet of the bank, 15, 20 feet of the bank of the lake. Mm. Sorry, can't find the pictures. Yeah. So those are my thoughts. Maybe, Bill, do you want to say anything in regard to this?
Hit that.
Can you hear?
Oh, yeah, now we can hear.
Okay, you haven't been listening to what I've been saying all along, so I'll start.
No, I think you were muted.
Well,
Whatever. See, we're not big computer people.
in your
Yeah.
pictures that you have, you'll notice that as you're standing on our deck and you look to the right towards Andrix, we planted all those river birches there just a few years ago, right after Andrix built his house, as a barrier between us and him. So we've already planted 3 clusters of 3 river birches and 4 other shrubs in between that were not there before. And we have a full line of shrubs along the shoreline, except for where we walk onto the beach.
And then we have other clusters for keeping water from running down into the lake, which I put on the video. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw the video and I sent it to everybody. I just don't have it
Hi there.
with my cat. Yeah.
But, our lot is the largest lot on Lake Wyola. It's 1.5 acres. 40
Nice.
feet of our lot is under your water. We pay taxes on that land. We've been paying taxes on 1.5 acre for the last 90 years. And we try to keep things clean and everything. Other than 12,000 square feet, it's totally forested. Behind the house, side of our house, everything else is full trees.
And we couldn't possibly plant with those stumps there. We obviously did not want to pull those up and open another can of worms. And with erosion and filling and all of that, we're happy to just leave those stumps right there and put a pot of flowers or something on it. But to plant trees in that same area would leave us no room to get around with a lawnmower, or the kids come and play and whatnot. That's why we have one section that's open, because they play their wiffle ball there and whatnot. Otherwise, they have to play around the trees and the shrubs that are already there. So we feel there's enough plantings there as there is with the cedar trees and plants in front of those, the yews, to block any runoff coming down the hill to the lake. I mean, we feel like we've done a lot to just preserve any of that type of goings on of erosion and whatnot. So planting more to us is, I mean, I'd plant flowers and, like I said, put them on the stumps or something. But to plant more trees in that area there's no more room with the stumps there.
Yeah, no, I think we definitely want the stumps to stay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great. Well, I'm also, willing and see what the rest of the commission thinks to go with some more shrubs that don't have to be in that same location. You have such a large expanse of very close to bank, and I know you already have sort of a row of shrubs right along the shoreline, but even anywhere along there, and for us, the closer to the lake you plant something, really the better it is, in my opinion. We love to try to encourage any kind of plantings closer to the lake. So if there's other spots along there where you'd be happy to put in some native shrubs, that's all right by me. If the rest of the commission thinks that's all right, and if you are willing to consider that.
I can think of a place right now that we could put a couple of laurels, something like that. I have right here in our own home on this side of town. I have some beautiful red laurels to be placed where the trees had fallen.
It'd be between where the stumps are and the lake.
Yeah.
There's an area there that we could plant some stuff. I mean, if we have to plant them over in the other part, it's just taken away from what little lawn we have for a whole total of
Recreation,
an acre
yeah.
and a half lot.
Yeah, no, if you're thinking, when I'm picturing where those trees were, and that little swimming area between where those trees were and the lake would be wonderful. Great to put in something there. And it can be any variety of wetlandy type shrubs, dogwoods, or
Something in that's not going to get too tall.
Yeah, I'm getting too old to keep trimming everything.
yeah. Well, there's dogwoods, which some of them can get tall. I think the red osier dogwoods don't get as tall as the other dogwoods. Alder is a wonderful one. High bush blueberry is great.
We have blueberries on this one side. For years, my folks planted them. They're
Yeah, those are
at the lake. They're way over to the left.
they like their feet wet, so they're good for that area.
Yeah, that's why they were there.
Okay, well, that sounds good. So do you consider, I'd be happy with 3. What does the rest of the commission think in terms of shrubs to sort of be mitigation for the trees?
Yeah. Yes, I agree. It's a pretty wooded lot.
I would concur.
Yep.
All right, and that sounds good. So we could say 3 in that general area.
It would fit in there.
Yep.
Okay.
Good there.
Perfect. All right, that's great. I think to document this the way that I've done it before is I just issue a second enforcement order document. It's just a way to document it, and I'll fill in there that for the enforcement order, what we're asking you to do is put in the 3 shrubs at that location. So that would be great, and I can get that to you what's today, Tuesday, probably by the end of this week.
Sure. We'll have
And then-
variety because shrubs are just starting to come into the landscape areas, or the retailers, I should say.
Yep.
We'll have choices.
Great. And then once I issue that, then that's the end for the whole enforcement. Mayor was asking how it works. That's kind of how it works once we decide. So, all right, that sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks so much for coming, and we'll be in touch.
Yep. Certainly can be done.
Great. Sounds good.
Good night.
Good night.
Great.
Whew, we have had a long agenda. Last but not least, we have under unanticipated business is the request from Haley for the emergency cert to continue to have the water down 5 feet at the lake so that they can finish up the kind of like temporary patching that they're doing to the dam. So it would be allowing them 30 more days of having the lake down. And she just sent this today, so that's why it's under unanticipated business.
I'm Yeah, that's no problem. I'm in favor of that. I did have a question though. Like, I don't understand. I've asked her like where they are in the process. Did they get a grant? You know, can she put that in her 5 fun facts or whatever that she does on Friday newsletter? But I really feel like there needs to be more communication, and I don't know. I've kind of asked her to do more communication, and she just was reluctant. I'm not going to say kind of. She was reluctant to do that, but I feel like there's so many people, and I don't know if she doesn't realize the lake and the draw, and but there's so many people that are talking about it, questioning about it, you know, what are we doing? Like, there's just a lot of, I don't feel like there's rumors out there, but a lot of people are kind of wondering what's going to happen, and I don't feel that there's a ton of communication as to what's going on.
You had a conversation with her. I remember
I did,
saying,
and I asked her if she could just send out a newsletter, and she's like, no. I'm like, why not? So, I just, I don't know whether it's, she's new, but like, I mean, it's going to affect so many different things if this doesn't happen. And I think people need to know all the pieces of the puzzle as to has the grant been received? I mean, I drive behind people who slow down every single time they go by the dam because they're like, is the leak still there? They're just looking. They're just like looking to see if it's still leaking. But, it'd be nice if we could just kind of get a roadmap, of and
the
I'm
timeline.
happy to write something up if she would tell me what to write. I'll write it up. I have no problems doing that. But, like I did pass it on to Jan and, for Lake Wildwood West, neighbors, um but I don't know what the disconnect is, but
Yeah, a timeline for
yeah.
everybody. That does seem like something that they should be doing. Mateo, do you know any more since you work in that town hall building?
I do not. I'm sorry.
Okay. And I don't either. The request she sent today was very straightforward. She was just asking about an emergency cert to
Okay. I'll
continue.
reach out to her again and ask her
You
kind.
should. I mean, if I'm just so busy. Like I feel
I
like
know, no, I get it. I get it.
should
You
be
do a
great if
lot.
you'd be great if you would. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, yeah. Put it on my list.
Poker
Yeah.
again because I don't see any reason that the town would need to sort of not share that. Even just a timeline for the project doesn't seem like they'd be sharing any secrets that are, anything that would be
And just the fact, yeah, that it's also uncertain, that if this doesn't work, then, it's gonna be drawn down for the summer, and
a big deal.
yeah, and I don't, people need to know that. I just feel that, as I said to her, that there would be risky behavior by people. And then like a week later, then the fire chief sent out.
Yeah. Yeah, which was good. The same time that you said something, because that was very true. Because remember you and we saw Mrs.
Yeah.
What was her name? The woman when we went to the 84 Lake Drive.
Oh, Mrs. Pickering, yeah.
Mrs. Pickering was out there walking right out onto the and then I think that's a little hazardous to be walking out there.
Well, it's mucky, yeah. But it's like it would be nice to have a roadmap. And, I put it on my calendar for tomorrow, so I'll call her and just ask her. But yeah, another 30 days. Sure. All in favor.
Okay. Mateo, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, Mara, if you wanted some support or assistance with that, I'm happy to do what I can. Just let me know.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I forget, are you around tomorrow or at that a town
Yeah,
hall?
I'm in the land use clerk office Mondays and Wednesdays 10 to 12.
Okay. Okay. I'll see if I can get there. Well, I can't get there tomorrow, but I'll give her a call. Yeah, I'm tied up tomorrow during those times, but I'll give her a call and just see if I can kind of get her to, at least kind of get something going. But
A little newsletter would be great.
yeah, but Okay.
I'm not
Thank
sure
you.
what you can share and what you can't share. You know, there's got to be some sort of,
Oh,
but you think a timeline for the project to let the people around the lake know makes sense.
yeah.
All right, well, I am looking for a motion to issue the emergency cert
So
to
moved.
town.
So moved.
Second.
I will second.
All right, roll call. McDuffie,
Aye.
Douglas,
Aye.
Fox,
Aye.
and Wilson. Aye. All right. Does anybody else have any other unanticipated business?
Mm-mm.
All right. Then we are done. Michael, did you want to meet after this?
Yeah, sure. I just had a couple questions. If that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just thinking we'll shut this Zoom down and I will send you something from my own Zoom account.
Okay. Thank you.
Or we'll figure out something. Sounds good. All right. So now we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I would second that motion.
Great. Roll call. McDuffie,
Aye.
Fox,
Aye.
Douglas,
Aye.
and Wilson. Aye. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good
Thanks,
night.
everyone. Bye now.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.